In this lesson, we're going to be going over a review of how to find the area of 2D shapes. So remember that area means the amount of space inside the boundary of a 2D shape. So you're looking at how much area is inside a shape. So if we look at rectangles, remember the formula is that we're going to do the length times the width. And in a square, it's again the length times the width. But because the two sides are the same, your length and width are actually both equal. So it's the same as just doing the side times itself, or the side squared. For triangles, you're going to do base times height and then divided by 2. So in a triangle, just make sure that you remember the base of the triangle will be the length of the bottom, and the height is from the bottom all the way to the peak. So in a triangle, like a right angle triangle, that's pretty easy to see. But in a triangle like this, you have to remember the base is the whole length of the bottom, and the height is from the bottom up to the peak of the triangle. So we don't want to be using the slant lengths. And in a circle, you're going to do pi times the radius squared. Now just pay attention if you are given a circle where you're given the diameter, remember that the diameter, I should say the radius, is half of the diameter. So sometimes you might have to divide by 2. So if we look at the first example, in this first example, it says we have a backyard with the following dimensions. So you can see we've got a square area here, a rectangle, and a triangle. And it wants you to determine the amount of grass that will need to be cut. So the grass that needs to be cut is down here in this rectangle. So to find the area, we're going to do the length times the width. So 32.8 times 28.6. 32.8 times 28.6. And when you do that, you get 938.08. Now remember, when you're doing area, we need to account for the units. So this would be meters squared, because we've got meters times meters, so meters squared. Now for the triangle, again, we're going to find the area. So we're going to do the base times the height and divide by 2. So the base of this triangle is the same as the length of the rectangle. So the base is 32.8. The height is 22.3. And then we're going to take all of that and we're going to divide it by 2. So when you put this into your calculator, you're going to do 32.8 times 22.3, which is 731.44. And then divide that by 2. So 365.72. And again, this is meters squared. We turn to the next page, a couple more examples. First example is asking you to calculate the area of a pizza that has a diameter of 42 centimeters. So remember that when you're dealing with a circle, the diameter is the distance all the way from one edge to the other edge. And our formula for the area of a circle is pi times r squared. So it's important to note whether the question is giving you the diameter or the radius. So in this case, it's giving us the diameter. So in order to find the radius, or halfway, I need to take this and divide it by 2. So that gives me a radius of 21. Now in your calculator, to find the area, you're going to do pi times 21 squared. So most calculators have a pi button. On my calculator, I have to hit shift, and then it's down here underneath the 3. So it's the pi button there, times 21 to the power of 2, which equals 1,385.44, and we are in centimeters squared. The next question is asking you to find the area of the shaded part of this shape. So the key here is that when you're looking for a shaded part or part of the area, we're going to look for the larger area, so the area of the whole square, and then we could take away this circle that's been cut out of the center. So if we start with the area of the square, we need to determine the length of the sides. So you can see here that 12 is the distance halfway across. So that means if we double that, here, this is also 12. So that gives us a total side length of 24 centimeters. And because this is a square, that also means that the height, or the width, is going to be 24. So when we're finding this area, we can just do 24 times 24, or 24 squared, which is 576 centimeters squared. Now, if we go to the circle, so the area of the circle, we need to do pi times the radius, so 12 squared. So again, on your calculator, make sure you use the pi button times 12 squared. So 452.39 centimeters squared. Now, this is asking you for the area of the shaded part. So you can think of it as having the area of the full square and taking away the circle. So that means we would use subtraction. So the area of the square is the square, take away the circle, 452.39. So our total leftover area is 123.91 centimeters squared. So that's the area that's left when we take the square and we subtract the circle. So this is an example where you're subtracting the area to find what's left. And in the question down below, this is what we call composite area. Now in questions like this, what you're going to be looking to do is here you can see we've got a shape that's made up really of two shapes. So this is a rectangle beside a square. So if we want to find the area of this shape as a whole, we can break it into two parts. So we have a rectangle here, and we have a square over here. So to find the area of the rectangle, we've got the length times the width, so 15 times 20, which is 300 centimeters squared. And then we've got the area of the square, which is 15 by 15. Is 225. Oops. I don't trust myself. 225 centimeters squared. And so if you were looking for the total area of this all together, instead of subtracting like we did in the last question, this time we're going to add. So the total area would be 300 plus 225, which is 525 centimeters squared. So that is a basic review of how to find area, and we're going to be using all these area formulas a lot when we get into finding surface area.